We're back with Ardyth. Every time I say her name, Ardyth, she is worthy of fangirling because she is here with us. Hi, Ardyth.
Hi, sorry, I just realized that it's a Formula One weekend and I'm going to be getting notifications. So I'm just going to.
Did y'all know she's super big into this race carring thing? Because I didn't.
I love Formula
She's
One.
like a super fan of the race carring situation, which I did not know.
Just Formula One, not every race series, but
See,
yeah.
I don't even know what that means, so whatever. That must be like the elite of race car people, I guess.
In Europe, yeah, it's very
Oh,
European,
Europe.
although it's getting bigger in America now.
Ah, yeah, I'm not big on any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you are.
Yeah.
I only know what I know from the cartoon Cars. That's it. Like little Luigi and the
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, that stuff's all based on like Luigi's based on Ferrari, right?
See, there you go. See, Ardyth knows the whole backstory to Cars.
There you go.
And who the people are and
There you
everything.
go.
So there's some people on here that are NASCAR, Indy, Formula One, all the
yeah.
I don't know what any of that means. So awesome.
They're just all different series of races and different rules, different cars, different drivers.
Fun. I don't want to see any wrecks. Do you see wrecks often?
Wrecks? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We call We don't say wrecks in Canada much. I would say we would call them crashes. Yeah, it's not so much. Every once in a while, there's some pretty spectacular crashes. So
she said wrecks.
I know. I mean, I heard REX.
Oh, Rex, like a dinosaur.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, what is Rex?
Is said, good morning from, wait, Canyon. Hello from the home of the Indy 500.
There you go.
I don't know what that means.
There you go.
Well, Ardyth is here. She can answer car questions, I suppose, but she's also here to answer any questions that she's got. So I'm going to get my butt off the screen. Nobody's here for me. We're all here for Ardyth.
Let's go.
Let me get myself out of here.
All right. Okay, everyone, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're enjoying the Stress-Free Card Making Summit so far. And I hope you had a chance to watch my presentation. But if you haven't, that's okay. I think I have the simplest presentation of all 22 presentations because basically it takes about 3 minutes to make my fun fold. All you need is a piece of cardstock and a scoring tool, not even. But yeah, and then you can just make a fun fold and endless possibilities. So many ways you can make them. You can make them for any occasion, any recipient, anything. So yeah, so bring up these questions. Oh, hi, Joyce. Good morning. Loved your micro techniques. Thank you. You know, that's one of those things that I realized as I was making videos is I often have one big theme for a video, but then there's like lots of little tips that you might miss if they're not pointed out to you, right? So yeah, every once in a while, I do like to point out those little micro techniques. Just my ideas about, you know, how to make something easier or better or whatever. So yeah, thanks so much. How's everybody doing? I see it's cold in Minnesota. It's warming up here, and you can see like my little flippy bits here. You can see the humidity starting in Toronto. Jean Tanner, hi Jean. So excited to make some cards inspired by your video. That makes me happy. That is the best compliment you can give to any card maker is that you want to make that card. So yeah, that makes me really happy. Terry, you have the most interesting stencils always. How do you know where to find them all? That's a really good question because I have stencils from a lot of places. The stencil that I used in today's card was from Stencil Girl, and I'm trying to think how I even found them. It'll come to me. One company, if you love stencils and you want to find like all the stencils in one place, all the designs, is a Colorful Life Designs. They've got a ton and really nice really nice lady who owns that shop. But I have stencils from pretty much every company, and I just keep an eye out and I look for things that I like. I like things that are, sometimes I like things that are just plain and simple and, a regular pattern over the whole card. But I also like some like really artsy type stencils. So I don't know. I think I just keep my eyes open. Arlene, what do you do with your oops cards? I rarely have oops cards because I just work through them. There's almost no mistake that cannot be corrected. And, there will be, I got a video coming out today where you'll see that I made a bunch of cards using the same pattern. And the first 3, 4, 5, 6 times I tried to make that pattern, I didn't always get it right. So I kept going until I figured out what I was doing wrong and how to fix it. But I kept those first panels and I found the places that didn't have smudges and I made cards with them. So it's very rare that I'm throwing out pieces that could be used in a card, even if I end up cutting things down, which I do a lot. Nicole Brown, welcome. Obsessed with the limes technique. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if you're new to me or new to limes is a little checklist that I invented, and it stands for list, include, modify, exclude, and spin. And all it does is help you analyze your inspiration and then think about how you can make your own card without copying. Make it your own, but still be inspired by that inspiration. And it works really well if you don't have, like, if you're looking at a new release and you think, oh, that's a floral stencil. Well, I have floral stencils. So you can get a similar look maybe with those floral stencils. It works well if you're looking at a card that's made with something that is retired and you can't get it anymore. So you can look in your own stash and see what you've got that can give you a similar look. And it works really well if you just need inspiration, but you just don't want to fully copy. Now, full disclosure, in today's video that you can go to my channel after this and watch. In today's video, I ditched limes and I full out copied, but I wasn't a card. So there, hopefully that's mysterious enough to make you want to go watch. All right, Andrea, I noticed you use 3 colors plus gray. Is that a thing? Do you try to use odd numbers of colors? Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't normally try to necessarily use odd numbers of colors, but I often, if I don't know what kinds of colors I want to use, I often find myself gravitating to primary colors. So like a red or a pink, a yellow, and a blue. And what I know about those 3 colors is that when you mix them, you're going to get some good blends. So you'll end up with kind of a rainbow. Another thing I like to do is, even if I'm doing kind of a red, a yellow, and a blue, I'll choose 2 reds or 2 yellows and 2 blues. And that way I'm getting different tones of those 3 colors. So that's, when I think about, I have such a simple brain and I think about things simply. When I think about color, I always come back down to the primary colors, which is why they're called that. Every color really is a shade of red, yellow, and blue, right? Or a mix of those. So yeah, I think you'll find often I'm going with primaries and then maybe adding deeper or lighter shades of one or more of those. And with the gray, as I said in my video today, because my colors, because they're kind of, muted, they're not really full strength, I used gray rather than black. Now, I tend to forget that you could ever stamp sentiments in anything other than black. So that was a real departure for me, but I felt like it worked well together. Although now when I look at these cards, I'm still, I'm kind of missing that like high impact contrast that I would have gotten from black. Lori, thank you so much for your Z-Fold cards measurement guide. It's wonderful and much appreciated. You're very welcome. I know that one of the things that is going to put people off from any kind of fun fold, I mean, it puts me off sometimes too, is the measurements, the preciseness needed, the special dies or whatever. Z-Folds are so easy. I mean, you don't even need measurements. If you take a card base, fold it in half, and then fold the front back again, you don't need any measurements for that. But having the measurements and knowing where, if you're going to use a scoreboard, especially knowing where to score when you're making your card really makes a big difference. And I'm hoping like crazy, because I thought I was done that guide and then I found one big error. So I'm hoping like crazy nobody else finds an error. But if you do, please email me and I will get you the right measurement and I will fix the guide. Terry, I know you did a video on the magnetic boards behind you. Could you tell us what that is called so I can look again? No, I cannot. What I would suggest is if you go to my channel and you look on the playlist tab, there is like a craft room organization playlist, and I would go to the latest, I think that's like a 2024 update of my craft room, 3 big changes or something like that. I don't remember the exact title though. If you can't find it, email me, message me, and I will get you the link. Okay? And I know craft room organization is always a big hit. There's always lots of things to look at. And I was just talking to Justine and Laurel before this, and Mary Polanco, who's one of the other presenters, I almost said presentator, one of the other presenters, she just did a big craft room update, and we were talking about that. So she's got a really neat video on that as well. Okay, how are we doing? Any more questions? Dorothy, hi Ardyth, do you make or use the bar that goes across the middle or bottom? Oh, okay. I don't. I haven't. I shouldn't say I don't. I haven't. Really, when it comes down to it, I am a simple girl and I want my cards mostly to be simple. But having said that, there's at least one presentation. Therese has a presentation where she uses that kind of second Z. And I feel like there's another presentation about double Z fold cards. So, and I know I'm saying Z and you guys are probably all thinking she's crazy, but yeah, I just can't say Z for some reason. Denise, hi Denise. I've got some stencils with very small plastic between openings. How to adhere paper while inking without damaging the paper? Does that make sense? Yes, I know what you mean. There's a number of things you can do. One is, and I mean, the simplest is to tape your stencil down. When you're taping it, try and kind of, almost like pull it so that it's tight. I know there's not a lot of flexibility in stencils, but try to make sure it's as tight as you can when you're taping it down. So that's one way. Another way is to use a grip mat. And so if you're using a piece of cardstock, that it needs to be smaller than your stencil. So the grip mat will hold your piece of cardstock in place. And then the grip mat will also hold your stencil in place. And again, you can kind of try and push it down or almost like spread it out so that it's as tight as possible. And also always just kind of hold your hand on top of the stencil while you're blending your ink, so that you're kind of holding it in place. The third thing that you can try is something called pixie spray. And I know there's other alternatives. They're temporary aerosol spray adhesives. And what you do is you spray the back of the stencil and you let it dry for a couple of minutes. and it gets tacky. And then you can place that down on your cardstock, and and I would roll over it, or I would press over it with your hands, or roll over it with a clean brayer to really make sure that it's stuck down. Now, what I found with that, that's my last resort, and it's when I have very, very delicate stencils, or when I'm trying to use watercolor on my stencils. Because when you peel it back, sometimes it does leave a little bit of a sticky residue on your cardstock. And once the cardstock is completely dry from your medium, your inking or whatever, you can use an adhesive eraser and just lightly go over it to make sure that all that adhesive is picked up. Arlene, Ardyth's die storage inspired me. I used an old picture frame that I already had, bought magnet sheets, and made one for my most. That's a great idea. I didn't have picture frames. I just bought mine from Amazon. I guess you can see I've got 3 boards here. These are not my coordinating dies that go with stamps. These are just my nesting dies, and this one, and then some of my favorite word dies on these 2, or shape dies as well. Sometimes they're my favorites. Sometimes they're there to remind me to use them, because sometimes I forget what I've got. What are the white and teal boxes behind you that have rainbow circles? Okay, those are my stamp bins. Again, if you go to that video in my craft organization playlist, my 2024 craft room update, it'll talk you through why I'm using these bins. These bins are wide. I'm just looking to see if I have one near me, and I don't. They're wide, and they're open along the top, so I can fit more in them, and they're easier to get things out of. Anyway, I've talked a lot more about that in that craft room tour video. Does pixie spray leave? Yes, it can leave a little bit of a residue on the cardstock, Arlene. So I haven't worked with it enough to really be a pro at, telling you how to not get that. If I get that on my cardstock, like I say, I just leave it until it's completely dry, and then I start by kind of running my hand over it to just see if I can get it off that way. And if there's spots that are sticky, then I just use an adhesive eraser. Those they're kind of plasticky, rubbery kind of things. So yeah, the pixie spray also stays on the back of your stencil. So that's another thing to think about. You can wash it with soap and water. I don't worry too much about it. I notice sometimes when I'm pulling my stencils out of the pockets that they stick either to the insert cards or to the plastic side of the pocket a little bit. But, you just have to be careful. Denise, thanks for your ideas. Watching your videos has helped me to restart my mojo after a long time away from card making. That is a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're enjoying your card making and learning so much. Susan, what is your all-time favorite stamp stencil? I don't know. I have so many. I like different things for different reasons. And I also tend to go through phases. So right now, I think if you look at my Instagram feed, or if you look at my YouTube channel, you'll see that I've used the Frosty Lace stencil from Alex Siberia quite a bit. One of the things I do like to do is like a deep dive on products, stamps or stencils, and really show how you can really get a lot more out of something than just 1 or 2 uses. The video I did today, again, sorry, just looking to see if I had it nearby. I was actually inspired by something outside of the card making industry. But I used a stamp set to recreate it, and I'm really happy with it. What is one tool that you just can't be without? I mean, if we're really, really going back to basics, it would be my trimmer. I have a big Dale, sorry, I'm just looking at it here, Dale, DAHLE, 550 trimmer. It's an office tool, really. It is a big, what do you call that? You know, where the blade rotates. Not a guillotine, but like a rolling blade. It is a big, serious office tool. I spent a lot of money on it a long time ago. That is probably the first thing I would replace. I definitely love my Misty. I love my die cutting machines. I'm so bad at this when things are backwards. And I love my grip mat on my rotating platform. And I don't know if you've seen me use that. I know I talked about it in my video for this summit, but it is such a game changer. When you're ink blending, I'm left-handed, but when you're ink blending, you know, there is a way where you feel more comfortable doing it, right? And to have to kind of, you know, work around the paper. So I would find myself turning my paper a lot. And I had this idea that if I had a turntable or a lazy Susan, which I know is a terrible thing to call Susans, I know, but you know what I'm talking about, a turntable, rotating platform, then I can easily turn my cardstock and just keep ink blending in the same spot. So then I just put a grip mat on top of that to help hold the cardstock in place while I'm doing it. And that's been the biggest game changer tool that I've purchased probably in the last 3 or 4 years. And I really love it. Cindy Clark says, why do you usually make square cards? That is definitely one of my card making quirks. I love symmetry. I love geometry. And I love the symmetry of a square. I think a square card looks modern. I don't hate that it makes me different from other card makers. And I know a lot of people are concerned that square cards can cost more in postage when you mail them. And the way I deal with that, first of all, I live in Canada where we don't have that rule. But I also don't want to be bothered finding square envelopes. So I just mail them in a regular, 4¼ by 5½ inch envelope. And you could do the same if you wanted to make 5-inch square cards. You could put them in a 5 by 7 envelope. And that way you're not having to find those square envelopes and you're not having to deal with whatever rules are at the post office if they have them. Hi, Andrea. Do you have or are you thinking of getting a membership? That's an interesting question because especially when I'm here at these summits and I'm doing the lives and I'm interacting, I love it. I really love the kind of, community that you can build. And I know that there's lots of card makers who are, starting memberships. Justine has one. So there's a couple of reasons that I might not do that. One is that there's lots of good ones out there already. And I think it would be really difficult to come up with something different enough to, I guess the word is compete, like to offer to members to make it worth their while to be in either more than one or, whatever. It is a lot of work. I've seen that firsthand. It is a lot of work. And, having said all that, I am open to thinking about ways to be more interactive, more lives, more kind of community based. So, it's definitely something I'll think about. Thanks. Hi, Kathy Jo. What size is my rotating platform? Let me just grab it. So this is from a company called We Are Memory Keepers. It looks like it's about 10 inches across. And then I've got an Altenew grip mat that I just put on top. Okay. I have a friend though, like it's become hard to find that grit mat. There is a company called Bira Bira who makes the exact same one just with their name on it. But I have friends who, are using cake decorating turntables. I have under my Gemini Junior there. Okay, sorry. You can see my Gemini Junior. I've got another black turntable that I just got from Amazon. It doesn't have a smooth top, but if you put a grip mat on top, it would be smooth enough, I think, to use. So like, don't feel like you have to try and find something in the crafting industry. I think Totally Tiffany has some variation on it as well. So they are around. Susan, I noticed in Laurel's live that you are one with lots of really interesting questions. What was the first stamp, die, and stencil you ever used, and do you still have them? Okay, so the first stamp I ever used was, I've been doing this since 2006. And I started at, like a lot of us probably did, who've been around for a while, at a Stampin' Up! Party. So my very first stamp set that I owned, I think, was an alphabet from Stampin' Up! And no, I do not have it. Dies took me a while. I'm trying to think. I bought a Cuttlebug when they first came out. Is that what they were called? Cuttlebug? And I had that first happy birthday embossing folder back in the day. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm never going to die cut with this because I don't want to ruin the plates. So silly. Anyway, I don't have that embossing folder anymore. And I'm trying to think about a stencil. I'm not sure when I first moved to stencils, but man, I love stencils now. They are cheap. They are so versatile. There are so many ways to use them. Definitely a really high value thing to have in your craft room, for sure. Okay. Steamy Houston. Yeah, it's getting steamy here. Like I can feel my hair absorbing the moisture in the air. I hate that. So I'm not a big fan of winter, but my hair behaves better. Anyway, anybody else?
Boo.
Laurel.
What's shaking bacon? Ooh, I'm hungry. I am hungry. Okay.
11:30.
We love all the questions. There were some great ones. I think Ardyth should do a membership. Okay. Anyway,
you know what? Never say never, right? Never say never. But those were my thinking. I'm a member with Justine. And I see a lot of people there. I'm a member with Brandy, so I see a lot of you there. So, I have to think about what I can offer that is different. And
yeah. That's the hard thing, trying to come up
with it. It is hard. It is hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Already been done there. Been there, done that. Got a t-shirt. You remember that saying?
Yes, I do. I do.
What do you mean got a t-shirt? What does that mean? Anyway, Ardyth. Such a gem. Thank you, Ardyth, for giving us half hour of your time today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I really enjoy it.
Next up is our live lunch and learn with Riley and company. Tanya will be here with us, and she's always a hoot.
She is a hoot, and she has the best coloring hacks you've ever seen.
She is an expert color. I hope she colors. I should text her and be like, be sure you're going to color today.
Yeah.
I will. I'll text her after we get off and be like, listen, Ardyth said you're a good color, so you better do some coloring.
Well, she's a great colorer, but she's got hacks to make it easy.
Yeah.
And she's got ideas for, how to color once.
Yes.
I'll let her tell you.
It's intimidating. I remember when Copics were the thing, right? And I went and bought a bunch of Copics, and you had rule of 3 and shade and to get with all this nonsense. And I was like, I was never one for following the rules or having to stay in this box. Like I colored out of the lines.
Right.
So I got rid of all my Copics and now I just have little crap markers from Amazon. They're just fine. They work for what I can do with coloring, but I'll be excited to see what she does. And then after the 12 o'clock, we've got, let's see, Aaron. I'm pretty sure Aaron is at 1 o'clock.
Aaron Reed. Aaron Reed for Aaron Reed Mix.
Aaron Reed. And then at 2 p.m. is Brandy Mahon.
Yay.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and spat off the rest of the day. At 3 o'clock, for those of you that have purchased the upgraded ticket, is the live class with Justine, emceed by yours truly. And then at 4 o'clock, we have Debbie J. Or Deborah Jenkins, however you know her as. But that's our day. And you might see Ardyth back this afternoon. She doesn't know that yet, but I'll get with her in just a second. She's like,
I'm always happy. I'm always happy to help out.
We love Ardyth so much. You have lots of super fans, and I'm one of them. Okay, so we will see you back at 12 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.